Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week you're going to see me doing a bit of charcoal landscape drawing. The materials I'm using, it's just willow charcoal. The paper is, I don't know, just some generic sketchbook, nothing fancy, just a cheap sketchbook I got from Amazon. I also use a kneadable eraser and some tissue paper for smudging. I call it tissue paper, some people call it Kleenex, or I don't know, whatever, some sort of soft material. You can use just your hands, but it does get very messy. Then you end up with sort of charcoal black fingerprints all over the paper and things. The smudging it does a couple of things. It softens the edges. So when you put charcoal onto the paper, as you can see me doing here, you get these shapes defined by the dark values, and those shapes have usually very abrupt, hard edges. When you smudge it with your hand or a piece of paper or cloth or something, you create softer edges. You blur the edges. And you can use that for all kinds of things in art, in landscape painting. If you look at where I did the sky, I created the feeling of sort of wispy clouds in the sky by softening the edges. And then in the foreground, the bottom right of the little drawing it's going to eventually become sort of the idea of vegetation or something growing upwards. But again, smudging the edges creates this feeling of, vegetation, for example, in the foreground. The other thing that I use then, and you see me using it at the moment, is kneadable eraser. Although it's an eraser, I don't use it as an eraser as such. I'm using it as a drawing tool. So you put some charcoal down, and then you can lift off some of that charcoal using the kneadable eraser. Kneadable eraser is just a very soft, I think it's unvulcanized rubber. So it's quite soft. You can tear off a piece and mold it with your fingers into different shapes and create different sort of marks. And I use it for adding in sort of detail in the foreground or clouds in the sky kind of thing. Back in the day, before they had this, I think they used bread. Whether it was freshly baked bread or stale bread, I'm not sure, but I've heard stories that that's what they used with charcoal. This is a scan of the final drawing. There's lots of abstraction in there. There's little bits that suggest it's a landscape, but it's quite abstract. Abstraction is a very interesting thing. It really, really annoys some people and really fascinates others. And I'm one of the people that it fascinates. There is, I say, some people view art as purely an illustration, an exact representation of the real world. It has to be representational. And any sort of abstraction is, at best, it's bewildering, I think, to some people. And for other people, it makes them angry. Let's say, for me, it is very artistic. You can play around with the abstraction, and you can explore things, ideas. You can explore the idea of representing the real world, but not exactly. I don't know if that makes any sense. Makes sense to me. But it is abstraction. For some people, it is a wonderful thing and something that you can explore. And if you have any interest in modern art, abstraction played a huge role in the development of modern art. It's not entirely new. If you look at the paintings and seascapes of the English artist Turner, he used abstraction a lot, long before modern art came along. I mean, he was painting end of the 1800s, early 1800s, end of the 1700s. So 100 years or so before modern art came along. So it's not new, but it is something to play around with. It is worth exploring. Anyway, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully see you again in next week's video.